Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Conrad. I hope after the first panel I moderated, I'm still considered as amazing. So hope you are not bored of me yet. But for those of you who just came in, I see some friendly faces here. My name is Kelly. I'm an investor and researcher in AI, intersection of AI and crypto. I'm also a liquid venture investor that invests in high growth ecosystems and applications. So let me leave it to the panelists to introduce themselves and what project they are working on.
Hi guys, I'm Dylan. Thank you so much for spending the time on the weekend, to join this panel. Really appreciate it. I'm Dylan. I'm one of the co-founders of Pond. On a high level, what Pond does is we are training AI models on-chain data to facilitate and accelerate all the crypto-native applications, including agents and all that. So that's what we do.
Hi everyone, my name is Arun. I'm one of the co-founders of SatLayer. SatLayer is a Bitcoin restaking project, and our aim is to bring Bitcoin liquidity and Bitcoin security to the entire crypto ecosystem.
Hi, my name is Leah. I'm a co-founder of BitGPT. We've created a small language model distillation process and methodology that we believe is really great for AI agents. We have also automated fine-tuning, and so essentially with this small language distillation process, AI agents can be hosted on your device, and also we allow for local execution. So you can tell my brain is not great today. I'm tired. But yeah, we basically are an addition to any existing AI agent framework, and we're modular and can work with any layer ones or existing LLMs.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Ben Frigon. I'm one of the co-founders of Talus Network, and we're developing a new AI agent framework for fully on-chain agents that are represented in Sui Move. So the agentic workflow itself lives on-chain, and you can have the tools for AI, like the LLM off-chain. These inferences can be received by the on-chain workflow. So you can have the fully decentralized agent living on-chain. And we're also going to be launching an agent launchpad on Sui, very similar to Virtuals. And we also have an NFT collection that's minting on March 5th, if any of you are into NFTs on Sui. So great to be here.
Thank you. Very interesting projects indeed. So I want to drill down a bit to understand what you do and how is your project related to AI. Can each of you tell me what specific problem your project is trying to solve and how is it related to AI?
Yeah, the biggest issue with agents today, and we've seen everybody in Web3 pivot to AI and start working on agents, and not just that, but most of the attention in Web2 in AI has been on AI agents, even agents for financial use cases like the PayPal SDK and the Stripe is developing an agent SDK. The problem that we attempt to solve at Talus in making the agent decentralized, there's really three unlocks that you get from that that we want to optimize for with Talus agents. First of all, making the agent workflow transparent, right? I think it's really important that as AI handles more and more value, as it's handling more and more of your money, that you as a user have transparency into the agentic workflow. Right? For most people, AI as a consumer product is this thing that you interact with. Most of the time it gives you what you want, but you have no idea what's happening on the back end. So we at Talus think that transparency is really important if we're going to have agents handling millions and billions of dollars one day, and we're going to have million and billion-dollar businesses built with these agents. Second of all, the second unlock that you get by having the agentic workflow live on-chain is censorship resistance. Right? So almost all of the products that are built in AI today have decentralized components where you can be rate limited, you can be kicked off the platform at whim, right? And this is, I feel like this is an existential problem for AI and how we're developing AI. So we at Talus think it's really important that if we're going to give people access to agents, that access is permissionless, that access is censorship resistant, right? That you have reliability in how you can access the agentic workflow. And then the third component, and this is something that I think everybody understands what makes blockchain technology really cool, is that you get composability like you never had in Web 2, right? Where you have all of this data and it's siloed in all these different places. And this is one of the fundamental shortcomings of our financial system is fragmentation. And so by having the agentic workflow live on-chain, it can be composable with other programs that are living on that shared data layer. And particularly we're building with Sui Move. Sui has been a great partner to us, and we get a lot of performance unlocks by using Sui Move as well. So those are the three things that we're trying to solve with Nexus, and by having fully on-chain Talus agents is you get transparency into what the agent is doing. The agent is censorship resistant. You can't be rate limited or denied access to the agent. And then third, the agent is composable with the rest of the state on the blockchain. And for us, that's Sui.
Yeah, so BitGPT was really born out of a team that has been working on how do we create sovereign AI solutions for the past 7 years. My co-founders founded Singularity Net in 2017. I myself have a background in AI safety and algorithmic bias. And so to your question, we're actually an AI solution. We're an AI solution in the sense that we believe large language models, not only are they costly, expensive, they're essentially the equivalent of taking a Ferrari to the grocery shop, but also they love centralization, right? And to your point, when we look at the agent economy, or what I like to call it, web of delegation, I really think it's the last and final step in this entire AI kind of centralized fugazi, where we really risk losing our sovereignty. Because an AI agent, at the point you give it access to your intimacy on a centralized network, the more it knows about you, the less we will know about it. And so what a small language model does instead is, first of all, it can be task-specifically fine-tuned. So it's only there to fulfill a specific task. That means it's innately and inherently also safer. It cannot be jailbroken to in the same way. Now, if you have a swarm of these interconnected, then you build an intelligence that's not dependent on sort of one master LLM, but actually intelligence is then the sub of small, very specifically trained people. And I think any company, you would argue, that's also how you build an intelligent company. You have specialists working together, right? And so then being able to have that AI model run on-prem, essentially on your device, really means that the data, your intimate data, it does not leave the premise. We allow for local execution on your device first. Now, if you want to contribute that data to the collective model, because of course, here's the world we live in. If you're a government or a company or an individual, you kind of get the choice of, I either use this large language model and there's convenience and it's a good model, or I have to use something trained on a specialized RAG, ergo the data and the model are not going to be very good because it has a small data set to train on. We've created a third middle way in which you can use the LLM, but because you distill it and have it on your device, you don't have to share your data with it. And so we allow for local execution. The agent transacts on your device, does everything, also solving the intent issue, by the way. And then once the transaction is fulfilled, we do a synthetic data abstraction of how that model performed, and that gets contributed to the collective model, and that we reward with tokenomics. So how does it solve AI? I think it really solves a large AI issue, and it creates a bridge into Web3.
So yeah, like I mentioned before, I work on a project called SatLayer, which is a Bitcoin restaking project. So there's no direct connection between our project and AI right now. But if you've seen some rhetoric from EigenLayer recently, they're looking to build the verifiable web, which is basically an internet where there's cryptoeconomic security guarantees that can underpin all of the kinds of things that you would do on the internet, and that includes AI inference. At EigenLayer, it's been making a huge push into AI frameworks and AI inference and making AI verifiable. So all of that is directly applicable to what we do at SatLayer. I think that especially if, as kind of like AI becomes more and more proliferating in crypto, we could start to see cryptoeconomic security protocols that kind of underpin the correctness of AI inference, other kinds of SLAs for AI, like the time to inference, things like that.
We'll make a quick one, an easy one. So who believes that our on-chain data has value? Okay, thank you so much for the engagement. Like, we have so many projects, they are dealing with on-chain data analytics. We can name quite a few. So what we are doing, or the problems we are solving, is we are just retrieving the on-chain data rather than from data analytics. We are retrieving from machine learning. every day, for example, if we ever open our desk screener, for each of the token, as long as they are traded on chain, there are behaviors. There are behaviors on chain, what type of wallets they are interacting with the token contract in what way, and different wallets are interacting with each other in what way. Those are behaviors, right? So those behaviors, the core part of the AI or AI model is really about understanding and prediction. So once we understand all those behavior and all their consequences, basically we can make predictions. Just like LLM, they are learning the relationship of different words and predict the next words as long as you give it input. That's basically how GPT or ChatGPT works. What's behind the scene. So on a high level, we are just learning those behaviors and then predict those behaviors, give people a reason. For example, it can be a trading case. The reason why the next time when you see a token pound 5% or 50% if you want more, so I can give a higher number like 5x. What happened underlying? What's the on-chain behavior that caused that? Is it because a bunch of cabals buying, or is it because of it's a generalized market behaviors, and what are the consequences of it? And even for the security, we have used our security model to calculate the risk profile of the Bybit wallet, and I get around 90% is malicious wallet, because all in a sudden it was a completely normal wallet, but all in a sudden they have a large transaction going out. So no matter it's going to be social, trading, security, even DeFi, Uniswap recently they have launched the hook. It's really about dynamic fee, and also cost swap, they are doing this as well. It's really how we can make those liquidity providers more profitable with a dynamic fee structure. It's all involved with machine learning, especially with the on-chain part. So that's some of the problems we're trying to solve. Yeah, so leave a lot of valuable problems to all of you here so you can be a part of it in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested too. So anyway, in the last panel, we did a survey and we talked in a higher general level about why AI needs crypto. So for this panel, given we have such a diverse project and background, I'd like to be more specific. So I may have specific questions for each one of you. Since Dylan, you have the microphone, right? So I want to ask you, yes, this is a valuable tool. There are also a lot of SaaS Web2 tools that I use to help me digest on-chain data and try to derive insights. So if you are going to pitch this to me as a potential user, what do you think is something you can do better because of this Web3 component?
So, well, actually, this is not a Web3 component. It's really about machine learning and the differentiation between machine learning and data analytics. The Google back in 2 years ago, it was more like data analytics, like we are seeing today with on-chain data. Is a data lake. What it gives you is a simply list. Well, it's not simply list, but it lists all the available pieces of information to you directly. Your brain actually is the AI model that put all pieces of information all together from different web links. Then later on we have ChatGPT, which aggregates all this kind of available information and train it as a model. So as long as you have an input, it gives you a very simplified and human readable output. So it is kind of like what we are doing, but rather than giving you some of the contextual information that we can work with some of the language model partners, we are giving you some of the behavioral information that can be interpreted with LLMs, but usually they are behavioral information. So that usually is very simplified and human readable. It gives you a direct result rather than giving you a list of different inflow and outflow of different addresses. So you have to analyze it by yourself and try to find a correlation. That's the main difference, I would say.
Yeah. Just to clarify, you don't necessarily need a blockchain to do what you do, right?
We need, because blockchain has the on-chain data.
Before that, but I could build a model on my own computer doing that, right? I don't need I guess just to clarify, your project does not have to be a Web3 project, right? It's more of applying models on Web3.
So I mean, it's really up to how we think about blockchain. This is how we think about decentralization in general. So smart contract is not a new concept. It wasn't born because of Ethereum. It was born like back in the 90s. Someone proposed this concept, but they couldn't implement it. What blockchain analytic gives the people is really a programmable incentive mechanism that allows people to execute without the interference of third parties. But in our case, because initially, I think some of you might have heard, especially Lincoln at the back, he's from Coinbase, developer platform. So he's quite famous. So we initially started from developing a large model that aims to process all the on-chain data and train it and for different use cases. But later on, we found it's very costly, and there's no point for us to do so. So we sort of like change our direction. Rather than developing a large generalized model for people to fine-tune or customize it for their own use cases, we chose to empower the community. And we work with the community to discuss different machine learning use cases to define valuable machine learning problems, and they develop models. So later on, we can work with someone like Lincoln to use and leverage those models for different use cases. Rather than one large model, we are developing multiple small models for different vertical use cases. So the smaller models can really function as a large model. So that's where the blockchain or the decentralization coming from.
Got it. And you can use potential tokens to incentivize people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. It's more like
This is interesting. So
Yeah.
maybe that a natural transition to Leah, if you don't mind. We talk about small model and talk about the importance of not necessarily driving a Ferrari to do grocery shopping. But I have a similar question to you in the sense that all you do is very interesting, important, but there are Web2 companies doing that too. Like when you talk about small model, you talk about model fine-tuning, you don't need to be a Web3 company or decentralization or use blockchain to do the thing you do. So what do you think is a Web3 blockchain component that is important for your business?
I love that you're saying that because we're not a Web3 company and we don't pose to be. I think the important thing is that Web3 for us was a fantastic birthing ground to showcase how we can fine-tune a system, right? Because Web3 exposes APIs, it's open source, it has the available interoperability. So for us, the agents, when they're going to do function calling, it's a much easier space to navigate. Now, can we work with the Uber Eats API? Yes, we can. Is that a longer tail conversation? Yes. And are people in Web2 maybe less friendly to do so? Also, yes. And so that was the first reason we chose to launch within Web3. The second is because, such low-hanging fruit, right? Web3 is innately atrocious to navigate. And I also believe that there are a lot of blockchain infrastructural issues that an AI agent can solve. Before this, I was CEO of a company with Lad Zamfir, the architect of Ethereum. We were building a solution for intent and programmable transactions on the EVM. And even there, I realized that a lot of the blockchain infra issues, we're trying to solve it with the problem maker in itself. So I believe every friction point on chain also is a birthing place for a new AI agent. Small things like cross-chain swaps.
Absolutely.
Right? Or not exposing your intent on the mempool. That's a bigger case. But I think it's just a really beautiful space to show what an SLM and an AI agent can do. And then to precipice the former point of other Web2 companies doing this, behind BitGPT is a company called Prem. Prem is a Web2 company, also founded by the same CEO and Singularity Net CEO back in 2017. Prem is the partner that patented and pioneered the small language model methodology, and is the only partner aside from Anthropic to get a licensing deal with AWS. So Prem is the official edge compute partner for AWS. So yes, there are other people doing it in Web 2. At least AWS thinks we're the best one, and we want to bring that to Web 3 as well.
That's very interesting. So in summary, not only blockchain provide new data, interesting problems, AI to apply on, but also AI or blockchain provide a different incentive to try to have people open source build products on top of it.
Yeah, and I think this kind of being in the intersection of both, it helps evangelize. It helps a Web 2 company
Absolutely.
understand that we as a industry do really badly in putting bundling the term crypto, decentralization, and blockchain. They are fundamentally different concepts.
Absolutely.
I would never say I work in crypto, and I do not want to work in crypto. I'm a data architect, so I've studied blockchain infrastructure, and I believe in decentralization of governance in data architecture. I believe that it mitigates a lot of the AI safety issues that we have.
Right.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
We are in East Denver, right? It depends on the Bitcoin price. You will say I work in AI, I work in crypto, right? I'm always proud to say I'm a Web3 worker. But anyway, the last point where blockchain is really important is providing a financial incentive, right? You can launch a token. It's sort of easier for people to raise financing through a token mechanism. So that's why I want to
Can I add a
please.
thought to that, just to say what I find really exciting about tokenomics now with AI frameworks is, for example, our token gets issued per contribution to the model. So for the first time you have a token really being issued, every time there's a call on the model, aka every time like there's real use case. The user and the token holder becomes the same person. That's been a real flaw of this industry and a dilemma that we face a lot.
Absolutely.
And I think we have now a new way of tokens coming out that are going to accrue in value, maybe more like an NVIDIA stock, in a more predictable fashion and in a more aligned fashion. So I'm really excited by that.
Yeah, it's all about read, write, and own, right? So then the question naturally comes to Ben, because you're launching AI agent platform on Sui, and we know we just had panelists on Base, which is virtuals, and on Solana, there are a couple of them. So the question more specifically for you is, what do you see? I mean, obviously, there are a lot of competitors already. It's probably still early. So what do you see as the key important components for AI agent platform to attract good agents to build on you, good people to build agents on you?
Well, let me first address that last point. It sounds like you sold the top, which congratulations. I'm holding, so I've got to keep saying I work in crypto. Yeah, I think that there are elements to what you said, Leah, that I agree with. There are elements that I disagree with. I think that the cool thing about this industry is that it enables small teams to develop an AI. And I hope that a lot of small teams build agents with Talus that can do a lot of stuff on chain. Web 2 AI naturally lends itself to monopoly. This is one of the reasons when I met my co-founder Mike that we decided to build something that combines crypto and AI. That if you think about the inputs of AI, the model you're using, the compute, the data, all of this trends toward the Web 2 giants, right? Because who holds all of the data in Web 2? It's the large tech companies that are amassing all of this data, where ownership, decentralized ownership, is not possible. Who has all of the capital to subsidize really, really high capex early on in the development cycle? Again, that's all of these Web 2 models, and that's why we've had great innovation like DeepSeek and open source models that optimize for memory constraints and make it a lot easier for smaller teams to run with these models. But for the most part, it's been large teams that are developing these models. So compute, data, and the models themselves, all of this development is being driven by the Web 2 giants. And I think it's really cool that this industry allows smaller teams to succeed, because, for instance, with Talus, if you build an agent with Talus, you develop an agentic workflow to conduct some sort of activity on chain. It can be a very niche activity, like optimizing yield in DeFi. And then the off-chain tools that you interact with can all be swapped out, right? Maybe I use this LLM that's optimized for this specific yield optimization use case, I use an open source model that I can run locally. I can point it at this repo that has high quality data for this use case, and then I can use a decentralized compute provider, which we've had many great decentralized compute providers mentioned today at this event. So these are all factors about crypto, about blockchain technology, that make, to me, AI development a lot more exciting, because it empowers those smaller teams, and the decentralization bleeds over into the teams that are developing. So to answer your original question about use case, if we have a North Star at Talus, it's UX first. From the user's perspective, your interaction with a Talus agent will be natural language command in some form of make me money on chain, right? This is the coolest use case that you could have for a crypto agent. So in designing Nexus, our user is the developer, and we attempted to abstract as much complexity as possible in developing agents. So you don't have to know any move to create an agent. I hope that a lot of Web 2 developers come to Nexus. We have, from our team, I'm here, and we have Thomas, our DevRel, here in the audience. If anybody's interested in developing AI agents on chain and is familiar with Python, is familiar with a lot of the existing frameworks like LangChain and Crew AI, we designed Nexus to have that kind of Web 2 AI framework feel. So unless until the point where you interact with on-chain logic on Sui, you don't need to know any move. All of the development is in Python. And then from the user's perspective, with the platform that we're building, we want to make it really easy to create an agent, right? And this is something that, bringing it back to SWE, I think will be really beneficial for SWE with the stage that it's at, because we've seen a lot of liquidity come onto SWE, a lot more users come onto SWE. You know, they got native USDC recently. They're getting Bitcoin liquidity through Lombard, Lorenzo, and a lot of these great Bitcoin projects. A lot of the on-chain metrics are improving, like DEX volume, stablecoin volume. I'm really bullish on SWE, and of course the token price has done really well. What we want to do with Talus agents, one of the things that we want to do for the broader SWE community is increase the velocity of money on chain, get people creating new tokens, borrowing, lending more, bidding each other's tokens, and we'll deliver on that, not just from humans creating agents and bidding these agent tokens, but also by having the agents conduct a whole lot of activity on chain. So yeah, I think that's, there are a multitude of use cases that you can pursue using Nexus and in creating Talus agents, but most generally just abstracting complexity away from the crypto experience. Make things like depositing to borrow lend a lot easier and yield optimization a lot easier. Make things like swapping a lot easier. All of the different elements of DeFi that require a lot of human attention, a lot of individual steps for the user to take. I want to abstract all of that away with AI agents.
I see a lot of passion there, definitely very interesting. So I guess the takeaway is make it easy to use, make it easy to develop, and deliver real use cases such as making money on chain. Talking about, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick spicy take, because to your point, I think there's a lot of benefits, right, in building an AI in Web3. But again, I have to just stress the onus is on us as an industry to communicate really clearly. And what I would just argue is if we connote Web 2 with centralized, it's not the same thing, right? We really miss out an opportunity to tell the Web 2 Fortune 500 company, even you should want to be building AI agents on a decentralized network or framework because it's privacy preserving, because you get an insight on the epistemological origin of the reasoning, the provenance, data provenance. And I just really want to caution that as an industry, if we always connote the two, like Web 2 is equals AI centralization, then I as a Web 2 company don't think or don't know that I have this alternative of decentralized AI, that, hey, my AI agent actually needs crypto to make payments. It needs a crypto wallet. It cannot have a human wallet. For the first time as an industry, we have not only feature parity, but like we have better features than in Web 2 agent land, right? We
That's
can
very
give
important.
an agent economic functions and sovereignty. And so I just want to stress that because like we're all such smart people in the room. If we always communicate in this way where we bundle and we obfuscate and it's not clear, we really miss out on this opportunity. And I think with this is a bridging moment, in my opinion. Is take companies, take governments that do not want to be beholden to an OpenAI or a DeepSeek and show them that you can onboard them onto Web3.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a spicy take. It's a very important take that everybody should know. I think a lot of us are here because of the power. It's not about abstract decentralization. It's about not only feature parity, feature improvement, and actually creating use cases that Web 2 AI cannot do. So actually talking about utility, I was trying to pass it on to Arun. I know, sorry, you're waiting for a long time. I would have hosted another DeFi panel where he can talk about Bitcoin yield, because we know generating Bitcoin yield is hard. But since it's an AI panel, I actually want to switch it. So we talk a lot about the importance of AI, needing Web3. So now I'm actually talking to Arun as a Web3 founder, right? If you think about all the AI use cases you can do to either help you do your projects or more generally help us all grow Bitcoin, what are some of the first things come to your mind in terms of how you can use AI for your project-related stuff?
Yeah, I guess as a Bitcoin staking protocol, I have no choice but to say I'm a Web3 founder. So, I guess I would see Bitcoin security as more kind of servicing the AI than the other way around. I mean, there's ways in which we call the off-chain services, which are enabled by SatLayer, Bitcoin validated services, as a parallel to AVSs or autonomously verifiable services, which is EigenLayer's terminology. And I think that we'll start to see these services kind of analogously to microservices in Web 2, kind of start to knit together and kind of service each other. And you can kind of see a situation in which a verifiable AI agent service, which is built on Bitcoin security, will service other kinds of BVSs, which are also built on Bitcoin security. And the simple reason for that is to simplify the trust assumption. If all of these different protocols settle on Bitcoin, it simplifies the reasoning on how you actually trust it. You could say, okay, well, this protocol's privacy is dependent on Bitcoin security. This protocol's liveness is dependent on Bitcoin security. This protocol's correctness is dependent on Sybil resistance of the underlying Bitcoin stake. And for that reason, I think we'll start to see kind of cabals, or even using the word in the most positive way, cartels of Bitcoin validated services kind of emerge. And we'll start to see them kind of service other kinds of industries or protocols within Bitcoin that have chosen to adopt Bitcoin security and Bitcoin liquidity, like for instance Sui or Berachain, or anyone else who chooses to open the doors for Bitcoin liquidity. And we found that I think most people in crypto want to accept Bitcoin liquidity simply because of how strong and how large the magnitude of its potential impact would be.
That's a great point. So AI can actually make Bitcoin more secure and generate more utilities on Bitcoin if people trust the wrapped version of various Bitcoins. So I know we had a very heated discussion. We don't have much time left, but my last question for each of you guys is, let's think about defining success, right? I'd like you to succinctly, maybe using 1 or 2 sentences, talk about what do you see success for your own project, as well as what do you see the success for really the intersection of AI and crypto?
Sure. I'll take it. So the success of us is, I would define that way, that you probably won't see me talking here. The reason why I said it is because we're developing a machine learning platform that is powered by a lot of different developers around the world. So for now, we have around 400,000 registered users and 3,000, 4,000 developers who submit models. Some of them, they're really good, really, really good. And there's one developer who was the engineer from Protocol Labs. He developed a killer model at a competition hosted by Vitalik. Vitalik is launching 2 competitions on the platform. Then later on, some of the models will be used to power public goods. I feel like lots of developers probably you wouldn't notice their existence because usually they are the ignored ones. Lots of projects when we are talking about, we have so many developers, but we are leveraging us with them rather than we are leveraging them with us. So this is what we feel like we really want to empower the ignored ones. Those are people, they have talents, they have the skills. They don't have many Twitter followers, unfortunately, but they have the asset. They should be acknowledged by the market. So that's how we define our success, is how we can empower them so they can be a part of us rather than we are part of them. So yeah.
Let's try to be a bit succinct for your success as well as the success of crypto and Web3.
Okay, so success for us would be a large amount of Bitcoin being restaked into our protocol, like a large percentage of the Bitcoin blockchain market cap, and a large number and variety of Bitcoin validated services being built on top of it, such that the yield is sustainable and balanced. So there's real yield coming from the Bitcoin validated services that consume Bitcoin security, flowing down into the Bitcoin being restaked, and the magnitude of both sides is extremely large. And I think for crypto in general, and
Web3, crypto and AI, the intersection.
Oh, crypto and AI. Okay, interesting. Success for the crypto and AI space, I think it would look something like many people kind of embracing these like self-sovereign models, and these being used on a daily basis by, let's say, I don't know, upwards of 10% of the people on Earth.
Yeah, so for me, it's a qualitative metric. It's a narrative shift. I think I would like to shift the conversation from do we do AI or not and the doomsday narrative around it to it's how do we do AI. and allowing people to really investigate that and see an alternative. And it's an experience that I have when you talk to your parents, to people outside of the wall gardens, when you see what's going on in the US, it kind of feels like a Trump telenovela. You get to take the fear away from people's eyes when you tell them about decentralized AI. That's an experience I've had. I've had it on a one-on-one conversation. I've had it speaking at the UK Parliament. And I hope to continue having that. And I think that would be success for me, for people to just know there's a plan B out there.
We have two different core products at Thales: Nexus, the framework, and the platform that we're launching on SWE, the AI Agent Launchpad. For Nexus, our user is developers, and my goal there is to make it as easy as possible for a developer to come and launch an agent that has those three qualities that I mentioned that you get by having a fully on-chain agent: transparency, censorship resistance, and composability with other on-chain programs. For the platform, the user is everyone, normies, and I hope that everyone in this room goes to our platform when it's live in the next few weeks and launches an agent to do any kind of creative use case that you want on-chain, remembering that it will have those three properties that I think are so critically important for this ecosystem as a whole.
Cool. Let's open it up to questions. Please.
So I have a question for Thales. So curious why you choose SWE as your partner and collaboration with other L1, L2 like blockchain, yeah, and maybe Solana.
Yeah, what's your name?
What's
Oliver. I came into crypto during DeFi summer, and I saw the rise of Solana in 2020, and in the 2021 bull, the growth of these applications that you get by having a really fast, performant, monolithic, single shard chain. And I'm starting to see those same qualities in SWE. Particularly enabled by SWE Move, which is different from anything in Web3, even compared to Aptos and BlockSCM, the original DM Move. Object-oriented programming is really cool. All of the properties that you get from Move, the security properties like formal verification, I think are a huge improvement over what exists today in other developer ecosystems. And if you're a developer in the audience, I'd love to talk about this with you more at length. But Move just works. Like if you've ever tried to work with Anchor, it's great. I know that Solana has some of the best applications in Web3, but Move I think is just a whole lot cooler. So. Yeah, it really comes down to working with SWE Move, first of all, and second of all, I see those improvements from SWE that you really need to see to find success on the chain, like liquidity inflows, TVL increasing, a lot of great, really, really smart teams are building applications. So yeah, it's most of those two things.
Any more questions? Please.
This is just a quick follow-up, but is Thales no longer a layer one, and is our platform on SWE?
Yeah, so for context, I met my co-founder, Mike, in October of 2023. He was being incubated by Polychain and was building generalized Move infrastructure. So when I joined, we decided to pursue this AI and crypto use case for autonomous value transfer. I'm really proud that we're one of the first projects in Web3 that started building with agents. And our idea at the time was to create specialized infrastructure for AI agents, particularly in how agents receive inferences on-chain. So we developed Nexus throughout that whole time, all of last year, and Nexus is we're pushing to audit soon. V2 of Nexus, V1 of Nexus was released last year, which is a simple prompt completion flow. V2 of Nexus, which will be a lot more performant, is being pushed to audit right now, and will hopefully be ready very soon. But in that context, in addition to Nexus, we were thinking of launching the specialized infrastructure for this AI agent use case. And in creating Nexus, we just wanted to push that developers as quickly as possible and have them building really cool agents on chain. And the best way to accomplish that, we realized, was to build alongside SWE. And so Sui's been a great partner to us. We had a big announcement 2 weeks ago that we were going to be launching our platform on Sui and bringing Nexus to Sui developers. So yeah, I'm hyper-focused on making it work on Sui right now because, like I said, I'm really bullish on what Sui's doing.
Any other questions? Please.
Hey, how are you guys? I'm Zach. My question was just, how do you guys plan on rolling out these AI agents to like individual users rather than teams themselves build? Because I see currently a lot of the offerings are geared for builders, teams, etc. But I think the real power shift is getting individual users onto these tools in a way where non-technical users can understand and deploy their own.
I agree. By the way, it's really important that we think about the commercial retail end user. I think the commercial retail end user requires a little bit more sophistication. That's a conclusion we've come to in the sense of like, you know, the more swarm agents we can have at that point when we go to market with them, the better, because they obviously need even more functionality and catering. For us, it's a twofold process. So you can interact with our agent, and we launched our first one in open beta last week called Terminal in 35 plus languages. So this really allows for regional play. If you think about how many potential crypto users out there just do not even speak English, and the entire UI and UX interface and the literacy to gain even knowledge of how to make anything of crypto or blockchain is usually in English. And so that's one thing. We're partnering with local partners, with governments. I really focus on this like one-to-many relationship. What's one contract or collaboration that we can have that unlocks a whole region? So that's one really specific use case. And then I think going down the retail route, right? Like, you know, hire that person from Revolut Marketing and like go on TikTok like Binance does it really, really well. And that's how they got distribution, because they talk to the masses. And so I think, again, it goes down to what I'll keep reverberating this, is like language and how we communicate. We so innately alienate ourselves oftentimes. And if we can, as simply as an AI does, communicate what we're doing to those audiences, then I think we've hit our North Star for sure.
I'll kind of speculate as a bit of an outsider to the AI industry. I think that your point was that these current offerings are geared towards companies, and I could see a kind of a natural path for the kind of like same in crypto where, like, you know, I don't really see kind of like in the future most people kind of interacting directly with the blockchain. I think that we're kind of in a space where it's going to be sophisticated power users and teams interact with blockchain, and then they kind of use that as middlemen and service kind of like retail demand. And I think this kind of same will happen in AI. We've kind of seen with like virtuals, which is a very powerful tool for creating AI agents, being used by teams and sophisticated builders to create more consumer-facing applications like AI XPT.
Yeah, so just curious, because it's a great question. Do you have a VC background?
No, I'm
that's fair. So yeah, this is a great, definitely well thought question. So I think we are very limited by the agent OS these days, because we don't have such a thing. And even like we have such a thing. Lots of platforms or the frameworks that are trying to solve it is how we can link different models or agents all together and to chain them as a workflow. So you as a general user, you can just create all of your own use cases. But in that way, we are facing a few struggles. On one hand is we have data in synchronization issue. It's kind of like you have an app on iPhone, but also you have another app, similar app, or the same app as on another Android phone. So without a server connecting those apps backend all together, it's impossible for them to communicate. So for the agent for now is facing such a problem is we have agents in different use cases, but they have a problem of communicating with each other. So you cannot really leverage all those different agents to work with each other. So the time when you have such an OS, like can connect application on iPhone with an application on Android, then you will have a much better UI and an operating system for a general user to create different use cases by themselves and play around. Because for now, we are still at the infrastructural phase of AI. We have seen lots of models, but models, at the end of the day, the nature of it is just a bunch of mathematical formula. The nature of models is just hard to understand as a general user. But the industry is solving that. So we will see some improvement pretty soon.
I think we're over time, but drinks are out there. I don't want to stand between you and the drinks, but I think the speakers will stay and we can continue this awesome conversation. Thank you all.